Dr. Matt Harris. I'm the Deputy Head for Learning Technology at the British School of Jakarta. And I'm doing this video kind of to supplement the presentation that we gave today, where we broadcast our live presentation on Google Hangouts on air, but unfortunately we had an audio problem. So I'm re-recording the main parts of the presentation and the demo that we conducted today to make it available for parents that could not come to the session today, or that sadly sat through a very bad sound on our presentation this morning. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the presentation and highlight some of the key features here, the key items. And then what I've already done is I've created a demo of Snapchat that I'll attach to this video at the end. So we'll have a discussion of the presentation, and then you can have a demo and you can have a play with Snapchat on your own. And then if you have any questions, you can give me an email. So my email address is right here. Send me an email if you have any questions or you'd want to ask some follow-up information or anything like that. If there are items related to the parental aspects of student messaging or Snapchat, please connect with Sean Jorgensen, our whole school counselor. She also co-presented with me today. And she can answer a lot of those questions about things to do at home and safeguarding your kids and having the important discussions about using messaging services. So I'm more the technical side, I'm more the systemic side, and she is the parental side. So you can ask either of us that. Okay, so this is what we talked about today. So we reviewed common messaging apps. We did have a demo and a play with Snapchat that was fun. And then we did discuss the parental implications and concerns about student messaging. Okay. I'll skip the next couple slides. These are just a few reminders. And during the session itself, we did ask that people install Snapchat on their own computers or on their own phones and have it registered. I would recommend that for you as well. So the best way to learn how to use this product and how to use it with your kids is to download it, install it, and use it with your kids. So highly recommended. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the messaging apps that are most common amongst students today, now 2016, because this list will change as the wind blows. Very interestingly, we did some research in prep for this and just kind of in some of the work that we do in learning technology at the school. And what we found is a few things. Number one, there is a huge geographic element about which of these apps are used by students. It really is not a common popularity amongst all students around the world. There are certain regions where certain apps are more popular than others. There are certain regions where some of these apps aren't used whatsoever. And it is very interesting. And then what we find is that students kind of gravitate towards a couple of apps within this list based on their personal preference or their personal needs, with one of them being rather consistent, and that's Snapchat. Now, Snapchat is a little bit newer on the scene, especially for parents, and it works a little bit differently than the rest of the ones we're going to talk about. And so I'll go a little bit more in depth on that one as I talk about the rest of these messaging apps, just so you get an understanding of how it's different and what its appeal is to students. So the most common one that we found kind of around the world, especially with international school students, is Skype. Skype is the most popular app out there for kids. Because it's available just about anywhere. You don't need to be on Facebook, you don't need to be on Google, you don't have to have an Apple device, you don't have to have a phone. You can use Skype just about anywhere. It's one that people are very comfortable with, so students have used it for years. I mean, Skype's been around for, 10, 15 years at this point. So they know how to use it, they all have an account on it. It's kind of cross-platform, cross-device, cross-everything, cross-nation, cross-oceans. And interestingly, they don't use the video features of it. They use the chat features most, and they do that to communicate with people outside of their schools or organizations, and to do some communicating inside, but it really is the communication one of choice for a lot of the students that we talk to. So it was up there pretty high. It does do video. But what we've been finding is that the video and audio quality coming out of Skype, being here in Asia and being far away from servers or central controls, but the reliability of the technical part is actually lower for us. And so the students don't tend to use that feature anyway, but they seem to like Skype for chatting quite a bit. The next one that we found is incredibly popular is Facebook Messenger. And what we're finding is that the students for a large part, are actually using Facebook Messenger more than Facebook itself. It's very easy, it's very fast, it's on the phone, it does a lot of the common things that messengers do. It has a text option, it has video options, there's actually a live broadcast option now. There's texts, there's stickers, there's all of those fun things. Those are all available on Messenger, and it goes to all of your devices. And quite a few students will have a Facebook account. So they're used to using the Messenger function to connect with friends. This one is also very common, especially at our school. Kids use Messenger quite a bit. WhatsApp is a really interesting one because though it's incredibly popular in Asia, especially South Asia and East Asia, the rest of the world, it varies. So certain parts it seems to be popular among students, other ones they don't use it at all. So when I went back to North America and asked people about WhatsApp, they had very little connection to it. Many of them told me, well, I installed it and I tried it, but I just don't use it. So while it is a connection of choice here in Indonesia, especially, we know that a lot of parents use it, it's not used everywhere. And so that is one just to bear in mind, that if students go back to Europe or North America or even Australia, WhatsApp might not be the one that they're going to be using. Another interesting part is that we found that there's a bit of a stigma related to WhatsApp, and that it's parent focused. So my parents use WhatsApp, so I don't use it very much. I was actually talking to some local students in Indonesia a while ago, and they said, oh yeah, Line is for us, WhatsApp is for our teachers and parents. So they do use it, they understand how to use it, and it's a simplistic communication tool, but they're not in love with it. And on a day-to-day basis, communicating with their friends, they really are not that connected to it either because it requires a phone. Now you can connect it to the computer, yes, but it's a hurdle that they just don't want to deal with. And so it's not one that they are in love with. It's tantamount to just souped up SMSs, and that's not something they're very interested in. If you do go to North America for business, for students, for just about anything, Google Hangouts is actually pretty popular. We do use it here at school quite a bit, especially in our primary grades, because they all have Google accounts. So they are talking to each other on Google Hangouts, and a number of them are talking with friends, talking to teachers, talking to parents, and they work the same. This works the same as Facebook Messenger. It's got a phone feature, it's got a voice feature, it does chatting, it does pictures, it does stickers, it does all that kind of stuff. But it's just, are my friends on that platform? And because everybody has a Google account here, yes. Outside of the school, not so much. Some will connect with some other kids that have Google back at home, maybe another school. A lot of them will have it back in North America and in Europe, but for the most part, the rest of Asia is not too in love with Google Hangouts. In North America, you find a lot of people use Apple Messages and FaceTime. I noticed that's also pretty popular in Europe and in Australia. I think Apple has a pretty good saturation there. The challenge is that those only work on Apple devices. Now, there's a large portion of people that have Apple devices in those places, but here in Asia, we just don't find as much of it. So it is used with pockets of people. Some students will use FaceTime quite a bit with a select group of kids or a select group of peers, but they don't use it with everybody. So it's kind of like they're tailing it for here and there, but they're not using it with every single person like they would say with Skype or with Facebook Messenger, which are the ones that we find most kids are using. And with Apple Messages, it also kind of connects with SMS, which is kind of a dying art for students. So they don't text as much as they did, say, 5-10 years ago because they have all these other options. And the SMS features are actually considered a bit slow. So some students will do it here and there with individual things, but for the most part, they're shying away from Apple Messages and SMS for direct contact with their peers. And they're moving more towards like a Messenger or a Skype. One of the growing ones right now, really interestingly, is Instagram. So Instagram, as many of you know, is really designed to be used for sharing photos. And there's supposed to be a long-term nature about how photos are shared. You know, you're creating kind of a history and there's places you've been. And that's really interesting because that's quite different from the way that Snapchat works. But students now are starting to use the messaging features in Instagram quite a bit for doing what's called DMing, direct messaging. Excuse me. And what's really interesting about it is that the direct messaging service in Instagram is really quite simplistic. And so it's very interesting that students are doing direct messaging through Instagram, even though it's much simpler than what they can do in these other systems. What's popular about it is that it's kind of hard to find, but a lot of their friends are on Instagram. A lot of students are on Instagram more so than they would be other social networks. And so to have that connected in with where their other friends are, they're being drawn to using direct messaging. And then we come to what is arguably the most popular social networking messaging service in the world, and that's WeChat. It's really interesting when I talk about WeChat here or in North America or in Australia or other places, nobody uses it because WeChat is a Chinese-based product. But what's really interesting about WeChat, other than the number of people on it, I would probably bet there are more people on WeChat than there are on Skype. Definitely Google. I don't know about Facebook. Probably more on WeChat than are using Messenger, but maybe not the overall Facebook numbers. In my recent travels to China, everybody was using it. It was the communication tool for everything. And it has a few features that combine what all of these others do. So it has a text feature, which is very simple. Or so I'm told. I used it, but I can't read the Mandarin, so that was kind of hard to deal with. It's got stickers, it's got emojis, it's got a video function, it's got pictures. It has a push-to-talk feature, so you can actually do audio stuff like a Voxer very quickly, very easy. Direct connect to somebody and give them an audio message. It has a phone system, and then it also has a wall. So something called Memories, I think, or Moments. It's called Moments on WeChat. And what you can do with that is that you can actually post moments from your life onto your WeChat kind of wall sort of thing that are shared with all your other contacts, which is something very similar to what Snapchat does. It's incredibly popular. Everybody has it, and it's the first point of discussion when you're meeting anybody new is, are you on WeChat? Where is it? Now, for me, they asked, are you on WeChat? With other people in China, it's not are you on WeChat, it's what is your WeChat? So if you're looking at moving to China, or if WeChat does manage to expand beyond the Middle Kingdom, you should get familiar with WeChat. It's very easy to use. I like it a lot, actually. It's very interesting to me, and I still stay in touch with people that are in China, and it's the way they want to communicate. Skype and Facebook, they can't get onto Skype, they can't get onto Google. Or they can't get onto Facebook, they can't get onto Google, and Skype is kind of cumbersome for them. So they really do prefer WeChat, and it works pretty easily. Okay, the interesting one now is Snapchat. So the rest of these are direct messaging services. For the most part, they're designed to make direct, continuous communications with other people. So you're going to have a discussion, you're going to have a chat, you're going to share some pictures, and then you're going to come back to that later on when somebody's responded, and you create some sort of record of what's going on. So it's really a continuous over time set of discussions. That's not what Snapchat is. Snapchat is designed to be moments in time. So really snaps, that's what they call them. Those are the messages that come out. They're called snaps. And they are not designed, they're designed as a relationship builder, a friendship builder, something where you're sharing with people. They're not designed, for long communications, for long discussions. It's really like, this is what's going on in my day, I'd like to share it with you. Here's something funny, I'd like to share it with you. I'd like to know what's going on with you. When you send a message in Snapchat, and they prefer to do video or images, you can do chatting, like you can actually type. They go away, they're gone. They're removed. So you send somebody or a group of people a picture, and after X number of seconds, it goes away. And within Snapchat, it's a little different than, say, an Instagram or even a Skype. I can't just send anybody a note. I can't do that. There has to be an agreed upon connection between people because it is trying to build community. So if I friend somebody on Snapchat, they have to friend me back before those connections can be made, before those things can be shared, because things do go away. Now, they do have a similar feature to WeChat, They call it My Story, and it's similar to the Moments feature of WeChat. We can guess which one came first, where you send out something that happened to you. Instead of sending it to an individual person, you can send it to a group of people as kind of not a back and forth communication, but more of just a sharing about what's going on in your life, or sharing something interesting to everybody. So you're kind of posting on a bulletin board. It's there for 24 hours and then it goes away. So it does have a little bit longer shelf life to it, but then it leaves. So students wouldn't use this so much to keep up with, happenings within a classroom or to have a discussion about a topic. It would be more of like, this is what I'm doing in my life in Jakarta. What are you doing in your life in Bogota, Colombia? Or what are you doing in your life in San Francisco, California? Or London. What are you doing in London today, right now? And they share that, and they put a little note on it. And you're just kind of sending those things back and forth with a different form of communication than the written stuff we're expecting out of most of these messaging apps. And then I have this very large list down at the bottom. That's because these are the most common ones that we've seen amongst students, but the list is huge. And the one that pops out very interestingly is PlayStation. PlayStation Messenger is actually pretty popular amongst students. There's a ton here. They will come and they'll go and they'll have some special feature. What I would suggest you do is get to know these, especially if your students are using them, and then just ask them, what are some of the other ones that you're doing? What are some of the other messaging services that you play with or you share with other friends and whatnot? Okay. Now the implications of students doing this sort of messaging is that we find a balance between them supporting and embracing kind of those important elements of their digital lives and protecting them from the harm that can be out there. There's a great deal of anonymity on these messaging services. And so students understanding that from their own perspective and from the perspective of other people is really quite critical, because this is the sort of communication framework they're going to be using for quite a long time. And so we kind of have to help them as parents to ensure that they know how to engage in using social media effectively for communicating and messaging with one another, but they really, really have to understand the boundaries, the best practices, the dangers, and what to do in those kind of dangerous situations when somebody is following you, somebody saying something inappropriate, or other dangerous things that can happen. And so as a parent, you kind of sit at the precipice here or the balance point here, where you're helping them do both. You're encouraging them to be online, but you need to have a presence within those online communications so that the communications they're having are of value and are learning experiences where they are protecting themselves. Now, many of you have probably heard the terms digital native or digital immigrant. So a digital immigrant, which is all of us, myself included, are people that have not grown up with the same level of connectivity to devices as students today. And those students are coined digital natives. And interestingly, they have some challenges that you need to account for as you're thinking about the parental implications, the parenting implications for them as younger kids, and kind of as they're prepping for the real world beyond school. One of them is that there is a need nowadays for us to all be connected. We all have multiple devices, we're on these services quite regularly, and there's a balance that has to be had with the amount we're on connected personally, for business, for entertainment, and finding a break from that. And that discussion point is very, very important, because though social connections are made through these services, they cannot just be the primary means of communicating. They cannot be the primary means of interaction. So there has to be an understanding of why you feel this need to be connected and when there's times not to be connected. Number two, sleep is a gigantic issue in general related to technology use for kids. When it comes to messaging, it's even more so. Because the kids have this hyperconnectivity to their phones, and international students have friends all over the world, somebody is just getting up, somebody is right in the middle of their day when they're sleeping. And what students will often do is they'll spend a lot of time on their devices for personal reasons or even for school reasons late into the night, which reduces the amount of critical sleep that they need to get. We get a number of even our high-performing students at the school that come in with only 4 to 5 hours of sleep every night, and that's just not sufficient, and that's not good for brain development. It's not great for performance, for emotional issues. And so as parents, what we recommend is that you find a way for them to have those important social interactions, but then to put an end to it at a certain time of day. So the phone needs to leave the room at 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, whatever that is, and can't be used again until you get up for breakfast in the morning. The phone will interrupt sleep. It's a very simple connection there. We can have a discussion about the blue light or the potential distractions or the fact that we all do it ourselves as adults, but the phone disrupts sleep. The connectivity with friends on messaging apps disrupts sleep. And so there has to be a break there during sleep time so that the students disconnect. Cyberbullying can be a part of, can be a decent part of student messaging on online systems, but it's a little bit different because of the anonymity factor, where students don't understand how they're bullying somebody even though they're just writing things online, or they feel like they're hiding or they're protected because they're online and they're not actually doing it in somebody's face, which makes it actually a little bit more dangerous. And it's something that we take pretty seriously at the school, and it's something I suggest you all take seriously at home. And just understand that as your students are texting and having interactions, that there's times you need to go in and monitor those things or ask questions or say, what are you talking about? Who are you talking to? What's going on? From a child protection standpoint, we always worry about strangers or people sending unsolicited or inappropriate messages or liking the wrong things from the wrong people. And so it is very important as parents that as your students spend more and more time messaging online, that they understand the norms of how to deal with a stranger or to deal with unwanted content or unwanted communication. So knowing how to block things, knowing how to move people away, how to stop communicating with them, who to talk to. That's one of the largest things, is if they have an issue with somebody, talk to a parent, talk to an adult, talk to a friend. Don't just internalize these things. Keep the discussions going. And so understanding how to protect themselves is very important. And the last one we like to talk about is trolling. So this notion of saying negative things while being anonymous. Well, number one, you're on the internet, so you're not anonymous. There's an impression that you are anonymous because you're not sitting there with somebody or you're hidden behind a screen name, but that's not true. There are other people. Your computer is tracked. People know who's talking. It's not something that you can just hide behind. And so it's very critical for students to understand that what they say has a permanence on the internet and it has real world consequences. So talking to them about what happens if somebody says something mean and nasty to you, or if your student says something mean and nasty on the internet. That's part of what happens within adolescent development and social network usage, is that there are going to be those sorts of conflicts. And understanding how to deal with them now it's a very critical skill as they go later on, and people that are maybe less in tune with using technology for communications and are making these bigger mistakes, the students know how to deal with it emotionally and socially and go on from there. Okay? All right, so after this point, what we did is we started playing with Snapchat. And in the next part of this video, I'm going to talk about Snapchat in a little more in depth. I take you through a little demo where we play with it, and I talk about the main features and the main cultural elements of using Snapchat and what's okay and what's not. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I would recommend playing with it. Take a look at it, see what it's like. It is a really great product, and you can do some fun things. And if your students are on it, play with them too. After that, and I'll send this link later on, I have a set of helpful resources about Snapchat and other messaging apps. So if you want to watch something around the basics of Snapchat or how to use it from Wired, this is a very good article. That's quite helpful. One of the things that Snapchat does very well is that they provide a base platform, and they provide all of these ways to put add-ons on. And so Snapchat has some other apps that you can add on and connect to it that I would suggest you take a look at. We had an interesting discussion today about are the images permanent? And it's a very complicated answer. So you send a snap to somebody and it's an image, okay? Is there a permanent record of that? Or could the person access it? Well, by the way that Snapchat works, it goes away within 3, 5, 10 seconds. So it's gone. So the answer is it goes away. However, you're sending something on the internet. There's going to be a record of it somewhere. So the answer is yes, it is still available. Okay, so it's not available because your person might lose it or it goes away for the other user, but yes, there's a copy of it somewhere. Well, it's not just that complicated. Because if somebody receives a snap from you, it's on their phone, and they could theoretically take a screenshot. So you can take a screenshot of that particular image. So they do have a copy of it. So no, they can't keep it. However, just to make this even more complicated, Snapchat will inform you if someone takes a screenshot of your snap. So you get informed about it. So even though you can't stop them from having a copy of it, you know they took a copy of it. Okay, so now let's get even more complicated with these add-ons. There are add-ons out there that allow you to take screenshots without telling the person on the other side. So it's a very convoluted answer of, does Snapchat keep copies of your images? Are your images permanent? And I think just on the safe side, we assume that yes, they are kept. Yes, they are permanent. Somebody has a copy of them. So bear that in mind as you talk to kids about what they're posting on their Snapchats. It is not anonymous. The content will not go away permanently. So just keep that in mind as you choose what you want to put online. Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy the demo. Again, apologies that the audio didn't work today, but we'll try it again next time. Have a good one. Okay, we're going to do a little demo of Snapchat so that everybody can kind of see the basics of how Snapchat works. Snapchat is one of several messaging apps that we find that the students use, but it's kind of interesting because it's not really about dialogue. It's not really about having a continuous conversation. It's really about sharing moments. So they really are snaps in time, and that's why they're called snaps, because they go in, they show a picture or maybe a little bit of text, and then it goes away. It's not designed to have long conversations. It's not designed to have any kind of history. It's designed really just to show individual moments and share that individual moment with a group of trusted people. So anyway, let me start Snapchat. Okay, and you'll notice that it starts right away on your camera. Okay, so there's my camera. It's pointing out over here. On the top there is the little ghost guy. We're going to get to him in just a minute. You notice I have a 2 down here. That means I have 2 snaps that are available for me to review. And there's a camera right now ready to go for me to take a snap. Let's start first by talking about friends and community. So I'm going to click on the little ghost there. So do you see what I did? The little ghost on the top. Let's click on the ghost there. And then you see in the ghost that you've got a few things. One, you can look at the friends that you already have. You can add some friends, or you can look at ones that are added to me. And this is really interesting because the concept around Snapchat is that it really is about creating community and tying people together rather than kind of the Twitter view of you can follow me and you can see what I've done. Or even Instagram, where you can follow someone on Instagram, and as long as they don't have their settings to private, you can look at everything they've put up. That doesn't work here. The only way that you can use Snapchat with another person is if you both agree to add each other. Okay, so like if I click on add friends here, and the white might not show up terribly well in the image, there's a lot of options, right? So you can add by username, you can add by address book, so people that are in your contacts already. You can add by snap code, so you can actually create a code that you can send to somebody or they can scan and then they'll be able to connect you. Or there's this really cool feature called add nearby. Now there's nobody right now near me that's able to add, but what ends up happening is that if the other person starts up Snapchat and starts this feature, you can see each other and you can just connect. Now don't worry about it. People can't come around and scan you and take control of your phone or anything. You actually have to enable this feature. You actually have to click on that button in order for this to work. And you can also share your username with other people. Mine has some suggestions, so there's a few people down here at the bottom that may want to connect with. but we're not going to do that right now. So let's say you've clicked on somebody, you've added them. You're not friends. You're not connected until they agree to add you. So right now I don't have any new friends because I did this demo about 2 hours ago and I added all the people I wanted to add. But if people have added you, you can then go and add them back, and now suddenly you're connected. Now you're connected, and now you have them as your friend. So the only way to do the snaps is if they are connected back and forth. So here's a list of my friends. Okay. All right. Now some of them have changed the little icon to make things interesting. Other ones have different items on them. Some have happy faces. Okay. So those are the people that I can send snaps to, send and receive snaps. If I go into contacts, you can see that there are other people that I can go in here and add, but I'm not going to add them right now. They're people I used to work with, or folks I don't really want to connect with at this point. Sorry, there's a horn going off in the background. Okay. But again, for me to be able to send snaps to them, I would have to add them myself. Okay, so now let's go back. So now I'm going all the way back to the camera. Oops, not there. Let's go to the camera, okay? And let's see the actual snaps that I've received. So let's click on this, and you'll see that I have 2 snaps here. I have one from, this is Sean, and this is a parent named Eva. And then there's some other icons here on the side. So let's click on this one from Sean, okay? And Sean showed a picture of me having given the presentation earlier today. And there's a lovely picture of Sean right there. And you'll notice that there's oops, we don't want that. Let's go back. You'll notice that up there was a, let's go back, come on. These are all the snaps that I've already received. So she's going to send me another one. You'll see up in the corner when I receive a snap, there's a timer because the snaps are going to go away after a certain amount of time. So this one has now gone away. So before, if I had clicked on it, I would be able to I'd be able to see the snap. Now she sent me another one, so I click on there. Oh, look, and that's lovely scary. Up there you can see this number decreasing. That means after 1 second, it's going to go away. Now I can choose to replay it if I want, but if I don't, it goes away and it's gone. And that's the whole idea, is that the chats or the snaps themselves don't stick around. Okay. Oops. Let's see. So now I can actually write her a text message. Okay. So I've just typed in a text message for her by clicking to the side and typing in a text message. And when I go back to this main screen and go back here, well, it'll be gone in just a second, but those go away as well. The chats don't stay along either. Okay, so now she sent me something. I can click it, and oh, there's another good picture. These are excellent. Okay, and now that one's gone. Okay, if I come back here, notice that the chatting that I had done with her is also gone. Okay, so again, you swipe over here, and it gives you the opportunity to chat. So any conversation I have doesn't have any life to it. Any pictures will go away almost immediately, depending on how long you set them. It's designed to be snapshots in time, and that's why it's called Snapchat. So now I've received a nice chat here, so I'll say pretty well, except for the lightning. I won't say that, okay? And I'll send it, okay? And so now if I go back here, you'll notice that there's a box and an arrow and an arrow. So the blue arrow means that I'm receiving chats from her. The box means that I have a snap waiting from this person. And an arrow means that she has received something from me. Okay, so now we got another chat here. Great, and notice all those other chats are gone. Okay. All right, now let's actually go do a snap. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm back here at the camera, and I'm going to take a picture. Okay, so I've now taken this lovely picture, and I have a few options up at the top. So I can scroll on it, or I can write on it. All right. And I can send it. And now when you send it, you can choose who you want to send it to. So I have all of my friends here, or I have this thing called My Story, and we'll go over what My Story is in just a second. So I'm going to send one to Sean, and it goes off. And now you'll see that the arrow's there, which means she's received a snap from me, but she hasn't opened it yet. Now she's going to open it in just a second, hopefully, because she loves how good a picture taker I am. And then when she opens it, the icon will change. So she did actually open it, and she did something else. So one of the worries that we have with Snapchat is that they're designed to go away. Well, there are ways to make it so they don't go away, right? You can take a screenshot and then somebody has a copy of your picture. But Snapchat has this nice feature where it says, screenshot was taken. So she took a screenshot of my picture, it changed the icon and it gave me a notification. Okay? So I can't stop her from doing a screenshot, but I will know that she now has a copy of my picture. Okay? Now, of course, on top of that, one of the really interesting things about Snapchat is that you can add, you have all these add-ons. So those funny pictures that you saw of Sean, those are filters that you can add on. There's like face swap. There are a few of them that will let you take screenshots without the other person being notified. So you really never know if the person on the other side has a copy of your chat or your video or your snap, any of that. Okay, so just bear that in mind. One other thing it will tell you is, when you choose to do your snap, so we'll do another one. And let's see here. Let's change the camera. We'll see how bad the lighting is. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So we'll do a horrible picture of me. I'll get a little closer. There we go. We'll do a horrible picture of me. Okay, and this time I'll write some text. And I'll call it something really interesting like horrible selfie. Okay, and done. You now have this bar. Many of you have probably seen on the internet this bar on pictures. Well, this is a Snapchat picture. And I can move the bar up and down. I can also download it if I want to copy. Okay, or I can add other pictures. I can add it to my story. I can do a number of things. If you click on here, this determines how long the picture is going to stay on there. So I want it to stay on for 5 seconds. And then I'm going to now share it again with Sean. Sean may get a lot of friends after this video. Okay, and then you'll see she received it. She's going to watch it, and then if she chooses to watch it again, so you have the option to watch it again before you close it out, we'll actually be told that. We'll see how much she loves seeing my lovely, horrible selfie. Okay, so she's watched it, see the icon's changed, and then if she chooses to watch it again, the icon will change again. So you're actually informed. Again, it's this sharing of moments with other people. Okay, so just a moment, that'll change in just a second. Okay. So that's the direct Snapchat where you're talking to one people, or see, look, yeah, there it changed. Where you're talking to one person or to a few people. You also have the option of doing this thing called My Story. So let's click on this real quick. So again, I clicked on the ghost at the top, and let's click on the gear. Now, my camera is mirrored. So the gear is actually on the right side, even though my finger's pointing on the left. It's not the question mark. So click on the gear, and oh, I got a picture here. I got something. What did I get? Oh, this is your picture. Look, I got a, oh, she took my picture. This was the picture that I took, sent it to Sean. She did a screen capture, and then she wrote on it herself. Awesome. Okay. So let's go back. Oh, there's my screenshot. And we'll go. See, that's her. Her name isn't showing up. I have the option of putting her name in there. Okay, so that was our chat. So she sent it to me in a chat. Very cool. Let's go back and let's talk about this My Story thing. So similar to the Facebook wall, and again, I clicked on the ghost on the top, and I'm going to click on the gear, which for you is on the other side. Okay, this is all of my information. And then right here is this thing that says View My Story. Okay. So the way the Snapchat works is that it's designed to make individual connections or a connection to a group of people for one-off incidents or one-off snaps. You can also create this kind of continuing story that's not stored. And so what you do is you can either pick a group of people that you want to share My Story with, or you can share it with every one of your friends. Okay, so I'm not going to share a story right now. But right now, my setting is My Friends. You can also click on Custom and choose the specific friends you want to share with. And then what ends up happening is that when you go back to do your picture, so let's go back to our pictures here, and you take your picture, so we'll do another selfie. Hopefully the lighting will work. Okay. And now, down here, we can click on My Story, or I can click on this My Story. And you'll notice that when I do My Story, it's a circle, whereas all of these other ones are square. Because the My Story feature is a little bit different. instead of just being an individual snap that goes on for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, it's available for everybody in that particular My Story community for up to 24 hours. And it really is kind of designed to share the moments in your life over a little bit of a period of time, as opposed to just having a one-off exchange with somebody else or just a continuous exchange with somebody else. So you really are kind of broadcasting what you're doing in your day, or whatever's going on. So this one's not designed to. It's more of a posting and a sharing, whereas this isn't. Where this one, where you're going directly to people, is an exchange. Okay. So that's it. Those are the big things. And then what I would do is I would click the normal posting and it would show up on My Story. And then everybody within My Story group would receive that snap. Okay? So I'm not going to do that now, just because I don't want to. Okay? And we'll just leave it like this. So that's the basics. So Snapchat is really designed not for dialogue, not for kind of in-depth communication. It's really designed for images and video specifically, although you can do text. In using it to just give snippets of things that are happening in real time. It's not designed to create any legacy or any documentation. It's just what's happening right now where I am. It is becoming pretty popular among students around the world, but especially with international school students, because you can show what's going on in Jakarta, say, and connect with people in Europe or other parts of Asia or North America really quickly. So I can share My Story with all of the other international school students that I have shared on here, or I can connect with one person directly. All right? So that's the idea. It's not designed as a regular messaging app where you're having communications back and forth, but really just a highlight of something that's happening to you in the short term. It's kind of a relationship, friendship builder. All right? Thank you very much. Hope you enjoy your snapping.